Anna. Not bad yourself, all good?
Fabulous. Fabulous. Thank you so much for sitting. It's good to see you again, and I'm excited to kind of break it down. So for everyone that's just joining us, we'll let people kind of log on or whatever, sit down with us in a minute here. But I would love to hear first from you just a little bit, about yourself as an artist, how you define your work, kind of, the long and short of how you would categorize your creative journey.
So, hello everyone. My name is David Oku, and I define myself like an illustrator personally, but now I'm more into digital illustration. But when I started, I literally was filling up any space I could get, like just filling the whole wall, filling the whole papers with black and white drawing, more like a Mr. Doodle kind of style, a little bit more details to it and stuff like that. So, but at the moment I've moved away from that, and for people that know my work, I use a lot of vibrant colors because I try to, every work I do, I try to give a positive energy to the people watching it. So one thing that is very important for me, like, it's not only about the drawing, it's also about what a mood, I want to uplift people. That is one of my goals in life. So I think as an artist, I like to portray always like bright colors and vibrant things that actually can speak to people. Nowadays, I'm a freelance illustrator. Now I'm doing it for a couple of years, because before I used to be an art director. And I don't know, I just find like working for yourself and working with your passion is the best thing you can ever have. Can be tough sometimes, but it's I made it after many years of hard work. But finally I'm here and I'm enjoying the gifts.
Yeah, you're in it. You made it. You push like the positivity angle in your work, and that's something that I hear a lot, just to kind of about what you hope resonates with people and what you're trying to share, with your colors and kind of the themes and the characters and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about what people see in their work, like where the characters come from, like how your work has kind of evolved to have the content that it does now, apart from just the positivity, like where are those?
I think it started with, obviously I'm a half Nigerian, half Italian. So for me, one thing that have always played a massive role in my life have been culture, especially within the Black community and the white community. I'm just in the middle. And I think when I started with my black and white illustration, people that don't know my work, they should scroll down on Instagram and they will find some black and white illustration. When I used to do those black and white, my idea was combining my culture within the drawing that I do. So whatever I will do was extremely black and white. And in every design I will do, I will portray messages of love, culture, music, anything that comes from my culture, I was incorporating within the composition. Rather, in nowadays, if you see the colors are inspired by, obviously, my father is Nigerian, so the colors come from the West African culture, the tribes and all that stuff. So if you look at the dresses we used to celebrate life and have ceremonies, that are the same colors normally include in almost all my drawing. Like in West Africa, you celebrate using colors. Like a lot of places here, you try, in Western countries, they try to be more formal, more settled. Rather, for us, color is a journey of happiness,
Totally. Yeah, I knew that your cultural background played a big part in that, and I love kind of hearing that that's where the poppiness and the patterns and the colors and everything come from. Do you feel like your work is based on any self-portraiture ever? Are you like ever kind of identifying with yourself when you're making these pieces with people and animals and objects, or is it more?
I have a crazy mind, huh? I would say like I'm heavy on freestyle, and I think like a lot of people tell me, David, it's crazy that you do it like this. But I don't know. I started when I draw something. Most likely, every artist wants to do a cool illustration piece. Okay, that's I think universal for everyone. But for me, it's more like trace everything you have in your mind on paper.
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times it's like, people, I find people that without the reference they cannot draw, or I see people that they have a plain canvas and they get afraid of it. Me personally, I took that as a challenge, like anything, every day, just draw anything that comes to your mind. And I did it so much that in nowadays, doesn't matter. I have a specific style, I would say, that is the consistency brought me there. But I would say the things that I draw are not really inspired by something, but it's more like how my mind processes things. So whatever pops in my mind, I need to put it down on paper, even if it's geometry, if it's animal. If today I see a dog and I'm like, okay, let me do a character that is like a weird dog, I will just do it, So it's very
Well,
freestyle.
I mean, it's like a stream of consciousness thing, kind of whatever's going on in your life and
Yeah.
you're attracted to, inspirations. Do you seek out inspirations? Do you like look to other
Mm,
books or artists, or, everyone
I-
has references, or is that all kind of free form also?
I'll be very honest. Like back in the days, I pushed myself because I was hungry to find a specific style. Because even the black and white was my style, but then so many people did black and white. I just moved away from it because I was like, okay, so many people doing black and white is not my thing. I want to swap it. So I always forced myself not to look at other people's work in the past because I've always thought like whatever you see, whatever you touch, whatever you get in contact with will leave a print within you as a person. So it doesn't matter. You're not going to copy the work of an artist, but for sure he's going to influence a decision you're going to make while you're doing the artwork. So I prefer not to use references from people, but nowadays I look at people's work that I admire, and I'm like, wow, he did something I didn't, I wouldn't approach it like this, but he did it in a very cool way. So I observe how artists move, but I wouldn't say I focus too much on the artwork because I think everybody has their own specific style, and it belongs to them. It's nice to share it, but at the same time, you shouldn't focus and compare you with someone else, if it makes
Yeah.
sense. Because a lot of people, they reference other people, but at the same time, it can give you self-doubt. Oh my God, he's better than me. And I stayed away from that. I just said, you know what? I'll do myself. Let's see where it brings me. So it's, I don't know, it's a different approach, I would say.
Well, I think you're also in a good place because stylistically, like you've developed such kind of a visual language and a visual style. And I think that that's a big part for people. And I talk about this a lot, is kind of like finding and developing your own personal style, and I think that the only way to really do that, maybe you agree, is just by experimenting and doing what feels right and what feels comfortable, and kind of really focusing on your style before you start trying copying anything else. So I'm assuming, and I think you might have touched on this, before you were doing digital work, were you more of a illustrator, traditional pen and ink artist? Did you ever?
Yeah.
What?
I literally did. Oh, sorry. Go for it. Sorry, Anna.
Yeah. What was your process like getting from traditional to digital like? And was it? I mean, were you like this when you were a kid? Were you drawing when you were a kid?
So when I was a kid, like even like when I was about 5, like this, I always drew something, even if it wasn't perfect at the moment. But I was drawing so much that even my mom, I felt like it was a gift since I was a kid. So I feel truly blessed that I had this gift because it's something I love so much doing that I would just spend hours and hours since a kid just drawing every day. Until today, I still draw every day, and I'm over my 30s now. So it shows you that I cannot work without drawing, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's
part of us, for sure. It's a big part.
And as a process, I would say like I started with markers, the black Sharpie markers. That was my main thing, like white paint, Sharpie marker, the poster colors, but only black and white to begin with. And the idea for me was always like, okay, I feel like having something plain is too boring. Let me fill it up with details so that my eye can go everywhere and explore something that is very simplistic. And I think that's where the first time that I fill a wall out is where I actually say like, wow, it's something serious, So I don't know. the more you do it, the more you believe in yourself, the more you exercise yourself, the more you can see yourself actually becoming an artist. It's weird to say this, but I've been in back in the days. I've been in Barcelona to see the Privé collection of Picasso. Simple example, and it was talking about his history in life and everything, and it shows from when he began to what he became. And the transition is interesting because he literally copied every style in the world before becoming the Picasso of today. And it's not he was copying people, he was experimenting the different styles. He did it every day. He didn't like it, he moved on, he evolved, he evolved, till the day hits him that, wow, this is something new. And he just brought it to the next level. And I think that's how, I don't know, that's how I see the process of myself. I experiment with a lot of little things, but then something stood out for me and I just lead with that, and it brought me to where I am today, I would say.
Totally. No, it's a big exploration process for sure. So at what point were you starting to do commercial projects, or were you starting to get clients? Was that something that you were focusing on, or did that just kind of happen, you know, slowly? How did that go for you? And, you know, what have you found to be kind of successful, or what's been hard about that? I know it's kind of taking that jump is not easy, but.
So I got kind of lucky because I lived before in Italy on when I was doing my high schools and everything in Milan. And straight in high school, I had like an informatic teacher teaching us about programs of computers and everything. And he always has admired me because he was like, wow, to be young, you're very good in drawing. Like, I really like that. You know, I can teach you, I can show you some stuff with the computer. And I was like, okay, if you show me what I can do with this. And as soon as I got to meet Max, my teacher, he kind of showed me a different perspective of art, how to maybe envision how to become more digital rather than being traditional. He showed me like, this could be the future for you if you really wanted to consider it. And at the end of that same year, he actually hired me for the studio he opened. I was working part-time for him. And that was how the first time I got a job within design. It was through my teacher in high school. And he was the first person giving me the opportunity. After that, obviously, I was too young, and maybe the work he was giving me wasn't really as creative. I wish it was more like a graphic design job. Then I started doing like flyers for clubs. I did so many flyers. I did photography, some photo shoots within the clubs myself, because I've always worked in a club environment. So I found that a good way to hustle to, you know, save up some money, buy some equipment that I needed at the time. And then I don't know, flyer after flyer, it just led me into I want more, but I didn't know how to actually use my skill as an illustrator. I mean, I use it within the composition, but I couldn't be so flexible. And I think the big turn of events for me was when I moved to England. I attended university here after 8 years. I didn't believe I would finish my studies, but had the opportunity to join a foundation degree here. And I said, you know what? I always wanted to get a degree in design. Let me just go for it, even if I'm too older. So I stepped in there, and the first time, that was the first time I actually saw so many talented people in one room. And I think when I started seeing people from India, people from China, people from literally, you had any kind of talent from globally, even if they was young, it kind of showed me, wow, there's so much to choose from. Like there's people good in publishing, there's people doing graphic design, illustration, animation. So it kind of enriched me as a person. I was like, wow, so this is really something that I can chase if I really believe and work in it. So that's where I started applying my illustration skill within the courses, and I started just saying that I was very dominant on that side compared to the other fellow students, and I was like, wow, it's literally something I can do as a job. And I don't know, the more I did it. I believe in not chasing the company you want. It's more like work as much as you can till your work attracts the attention of the people
Totally.
you want. Yeah, because a lot of people call me crazy for
No, no,
doing
no.
that
I
because
totally agree with that. It's like it's manifesting kind of what you want to do by just kind of putting your head down and working. I've kind of always said that,
exactly.
like, you know, some people might call it luck, but I don't think it is. I think it's really that
It
dedication
is not.
and like that drive to be making the work that you want to do, and then eventually get recognized for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you do of it, and if you have that authenticity, and you know have that hustle and that want, like
Hmm.
if you do it, they'll see it. You know, I swear to God,
Yeah.
that manifestation, that like commitment, that you know that's and I think that can be kind of exhausting, or that can be hard for a lot of people to get through. But I totally agree. You know.
I agree on the hard part because it comes sometimes that in the process I always used to tell people doesn't matter how long it will take me, but when I get there,
Mm.
I will really enjoy, and people will be like, yeah, but David, you have to think how long will it take you? And it's true, sometimes by chasing that dream, it almost feel like almost when it's coming, you kind of say like, ah, you know what? I might throw down the towel. It's not for me. Let me go to a 9 to 5.
It's
But
hard.
it's exactly there that is the change came. So it's I don't know. It's not. You work for it, so
Mm.
it's you cannot expect everything all in one go. But it goes by stages. If you don't struggle at the beginning, I don't think you will make it in the future. You can get some good project, but if you don't go through that struggle, I don't think you will understand uh, how to become. I don't know. I don't know how to word it.
It's not for the faint of heart. It is a struggle,
Exactly.
and and it is the reason we do it. Is for the dedication. It's because you're an artist. It's bigger than that. It's because you have to. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And like I can definitely relate to that. And it's working as a full-time artist it's a grind and it's a
Yeah.
hustle, and you have to kind of figure out ways to make it work. But that dedication totally manifests itself to success. Honestly, I see it all the time,
Hmm.
just like that drive and that authenticity, and it's like almost like you have no other choice. This is what you're doing. This is what you're here to do. If you were doing something else, you probably wouldn't be fulfilled, or you
Hmm.
would be wanting to draw in your spare time all the time. So
Hmm. Hmm.
talking about hustle and talking about just that dedication, I always want to talk about balance. I always want to talk about
Okay.
how to find that balance in your life, because obviously you have a life, you have a family, you have a house, you have other things that you do maybe besides draw. And so
Hmm.
what's your day-to-day like, and where do you stop, and when do you start, and how do you get that balance? Look at my little dog right there.
Amazing. No, but balance is a hard thing. I'll be very honest with you, because like it's something I'm chasing from a very long time, and obviously at the moment I have even like my boy is gonna turn 1 year next month, so I just became a father in this last year, so I don't know. There is no real balance, I will say. It all depends on you. You need to know when to switch off, take take a day, take a couple of weeks, or just say, you know what, today I'm not gonna work. I'm gonna shift this till tomorrow. It's all about that, because I think like especially as a freelancer, there's always the fear that there is no tomorrow. So if you're not gonna take a project today, you are scared that in a few months you might not get some jobs. You still need to pay rent, so you might have a kid, you might have bills in so many other things. I don't know. You always feel like there's always a risk that you're not gonna make enough to support your life, to support your family, to pay your
Oh,
rent, and it pushes you always to say, yeah, okay, let me do this. Okay, I will do this project for you. Okay, I will do. But it kind of overloads sometimes. And most of the artists I know that are doing very well in the industry, and they grind every day, and
oh
it's
yeah.
and when they go holiday, they're like, guys, I'm out, and it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but then when they come back, mentally drained again. So I think balance is knowing your potential and knowing that there's always a future. Just don't take too long of a break. That's what I would say. Because a lot of time people say like, you know what, last year was amazing. I did a lot of money. I'm gonna go take this year, relax like this. But just by being out so long from the industry, then you might have a problem stepping back into it. But it's important that you say to yourself, you know what, maybe plan what are your busiest months, right? And you say like, okay, from May till this month, I'm going to be extremely busy. Focus on that. But then every year, try to take a break for yourself, for your family, because it's also one other issue I find personally is I need to pay the bill, but I'm having a love story with my fiance. I need time to play with my kid and be part of his life. And you know, even if he's always here at home, I say sometimes he distracts me, but at the same time, it's not that he's distracting me. It's me that I want to give him some attention. So I waste time in going there, but it's not a waste. It's actually quality time that I have only once in my lifetime. And I think as a new parent, I'm learning like you can let this go for a little bit, but just make sure that every time you are active, if you try to post as much as you can. It doesn't mean every day, but sometimes sacrifice yourself, work early in the morning. Sometimes sacrifice yourself, work in the evening. So at least even if you do that, okay, you will be tired, but it's not going to be forever. It's just going to be a period of time. So that's the way I'm dealing with it. That's my balance. I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. I go to the gym. After the gym, I come back. It's going to be 6:37. I have my shower. I make my breakfast. My baby stand up. I'm like, hey, play with him like this. Then, you know. So I find ways of. It's tiring sometimes because sometimes you stand up and you're like, wow, I don't want to do it again, you know. But you feel the more you do it, the more it becomes a routine. And every habit that you have, you can turn it to a new habit. I don't know if it makes sense. Like I used to smoke, now I don't smoke no more. But I, how do you call it? But I run, I train, I took away one bad habit and I replaced it with a new good habit. And for some reason, it works well, you know. Now it's like for a year and a half, I don't smoke, but you know, I don't even miss it. And sometimes when I was working here on my computer without a cigarette, I couldn't go the whole day, you know. Rather now, I don't know, I have more energy. It's all about finding something that keeps you striving. And even if this gives you a lot of headache, try to find things that actually take your mind off a little bit, you know. Well, this is not everything. Sorry.
You've found things to fill the space, you know, the time smoking, I'm sure now you have time to exercise more and hang with your kid. And, you know, I think that the balance can definitely shift a little bit because it is sometimes that time to get it and that time to work. And I think there is a big kind of a FOMO with being an artist. Like if you're offline for a week, you know, what if the perfect project comes that week? And you know, I think that there's something to be said for just grinding and spending months and weeks just focusing and then having a mandatory off, you know, having time with your family. And there's always going to be more projects, hopefully. You know, there's always more things to do, hopefully. But I think that saying no and saying yes, you know, creatives say yes more than I think they say no. And, you know, you want to get...
I've learned a lot to say no sometimes as well, because I think, I don't know, like when I started, I literally did any project. Doesn't matter what you pay me, I am the, you know, like I used to be, I'll call myself the Hoover designer. I hoover everything up, you know, like that does come to me, you know. But then I started seeing like, wow, I say yes to everything. Small budget, big budget, and it kind of starts showing me like, okay, I go for a small budget, I've been nice, I've worked so much, but then the client becomes difficult. He wants this change, he doesn't know what he wants, he doesn't, and then I was like, wow, he really drained my energy. But I put so much effort, but he's not even paying anything. But because I want to grow in this career, I did everything for that client.
Yeah.
But then you start saying, wow, he really wasted my time. You know, I could do so many other things. Then you start saying, okay, you know what? Let me be a little bit selective, because even working with quality clients makes a difference. Even if you have hassle sometimes the client still doesn't know what they want. But it's also important that you need to know how to value yourself as an artist. That's something that I would recommend to everyone, because before I didn't value myself. I just saw it as I need to pay bills. Let me take everything, you know. Rather now I start understanding that a lot of people don't do what I do. Or like when I see this amazing 3D artists, a lot of people out there don't do the 3D work they do. And then why will you have to underestimate yourself all the time just to get close to where you want to be? Believe in yourself, and a bigger project will come for you. That's how I see it. Because when I start saying no, a lot of positive things start happening. And it's weird to say that because before I was afraid to say no, but when I start saying no, things start changing for the better for me. So I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, you know, because obviously you never know how things go. But you know, it's a big thing, I would say, because there's no right and wrong in this game, I think, and it's all about making mistakes, learning from your mistake, but just make sure you don't get taken advantage of. That's what I would say.
Well, I think in the beginning, like, it is okay to be open to taking on smaller projects, you know, pro bono if you're comfortable with that, or just, you know, working with friends or whatever, just to kind of build up your experience and build up your portfolio. And if you're working on building up a body of work and trying to get, you know, just recognition and reputability, I think that taking on smaller projects is fine. But you got to put a cap on that. Like, when is it not worth your energy, and when is it more of a struggle than it's worth, and when is it, you know, taking more of your time and you're not getting paid enough? I think that there's a time and there's a balance for that. I do think that when someone's starting out, you know, like, get those projects, build your portfolio, you know, but you know, there comes a point where your time is just more valuable than a budget, you know. And you know, that's a lot with client stuff. What about your personal work? Do you do much that you don't show? Do you do much for, you know, just yourself? Do you do art shows ever? Is that something that
you know what? I'm always a guy that I always consider doing art shows, but I've never done one personally. But I would say I collaborate a lot with artists. I would say, like, I don't know if you can see here, but I had this. This is a carpet. An example I made with a guy from Russia, Dimitri, from Raxcraft. I do a lot of canvases, personalized skateboards, deck and stuff. I do a lot of freehand stuff, customization on my free time. I go do graffiti jams. I don't know, I'm somebody that I'm very heavy digitally, but I always love to, I don't want to abandon my traditional roots, because it's something I really miss doing a lot of times. So a lot of stuff, you will know, if somebody know my personal stuff, they will see there's a massive difference between my personal handmade stuff and my digital stuff. It's almost like I have a style in my freehand stuff and I have a different style in my digital stuff. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, that's what I love doing. But I will honestly say, like, most of my time when I'm doing personal stuff is either canvases on customization, graffiti, and trying to do a lot of collaboration with artists and stuff like that. We're gonna have like I think tomorrow, after tomorrow, we did like a little animation with Matt Voice. So it's I don't know. I like power of connecting people together, because you know, even if I have my style, I think like when you collaborate with somebody, it kind of takes you out of your comfort zone. But at the same time, any person that collaborates with me, or either way, you learn something, you approach something with a different mindset because it's not just your piece. So it's a challenge, but at the same time, we both benefit from it. And that's what I would love to see more from people, because I feel like there are some artists that are very into the craft. Oh my God, no, I don't want to collaborate. But I think the secret of being an artist is actually getting down on it and actually working together, because it's only like that that then we will see the evolution of art. If it I don't know how if I can express it, but I think to be yourself is here, and when you collaborate with someone else, you just go to a different place with your mind and with your art, because I don't know, it's a beautiful adventure. Because I think like for me, like one big dream have always been like having a collective of a lot of people coming together from different discipline and literally doing something crazy, you know. So it's I don't know.
Well, working with someone else and kind of seeing their approach is also challenging, you know, so it like might be a different process or different mindset or whatever. And also just having and building community is super important. A community online, community offline, you know, community wherever in the world you are, or in London, or, you know, Instagram or whatever. So let's talk about how you kind of maintain your community. Are you active on Instagram every day? Do you have other kind of assets? You know, you said you work with other artists and collaborate them. Is this mainly online? You know, like how do you stay connected with other artists?
So like mainly like when I like somebody's work, I use Instagram mainly, yeah? Because if you notice, my Twitter, anything else apart from Instagram is terrible. And my friend always say, David, don't put all your eggs just in one basket. Be in different social media. But I'm very old school. I will say I'm a very face-to-face kind of person. I love doing things in the old ways. And I think social media is cool just to say like, hey man, I love your work. Would you like to collab? And then people say like, oh, I love your style. Let's do it, you know? That's how I maintain a lot of the digital collaboration. But my graffiti, as example, I hang out a lot with my friend Kyo Match. He is an amazing Australian graffiti artist, and I go jam with him when we can. We bring different artists. I competed for the Illustration World Series here in England.
Amazing.
And we have a chat with all the illustrators that participated in that event. So a lot of time I try to push people to like, hey man, we're outside, let's go paint something. We did even some charity work, like painting like, how do you call it? A community garden. We was 6 illustrators, all from the competition. We went there together. We painted the wall. So I don't know, there's a lot of charity events, graffiti jams. There's this guys, Alex, he has a company called Wrestling Demons. He let us do like design for bottles, beers, ciders. We created the label. He linked people, but it's always have to do with helping people, charity, bring community together. So that is a lot of things that I do face to face in the spare time. But then online, I will just use like Instagram, write to people that I like. If people approach me, like I always try to reply to them, give them recommendation, you know, because a lot of times people approach me, yeah, I love your work, how do you get your inspiration? I think that is also something interesting, because a lot of people might not reply because they might have too many messages, but I try always to be very honest with people, you know, because it's I used to be in that place where I wanted to become an artist, and I find it very hard. If I can simplify the life for someone else, why not, you know? Because it's I can reply to 3 questions, but that 3 questions will have a massive impact on a person. So that's how I kind of I don't know, like I think since COVID happened, maybe a little bit less, because then I also got the kid, so you know, fatherhood, that's my priority at the moment. But I don't know, I'm a social butterfly, so it's like I don't know.
Great. And you know, also just kind of sharing the knowledge and sharing your experience, and you know, it hypes other people up when you send them out and let them know that you appreciate their work. You know, that's also spreading positivity, and that's super cool. Well, I'm going to open it up in a second here to a Q&A if anyone wants to write a question down below, or they can send it to me with that little question mark bubble down there, and we'll do a little bit of a Q&A with the audience. For David, if anyone has questions on process, kind of, creative business, client work, that they would like to hear about. And while we are doing that, I want to ask you a little bit about what is, in sharing knowledge and in kind of sharing your experience and kind of developing your style. Was tutorials ever a thing that you got into? Were you ever seeking those out or even offering those?
Personally, I look at tutorials, but personally, I never gave tutorials personally. If a friend asks me, David, can you teach me this? I'll be like, come on, man, take out your laptop. Let's go grab a coffee, and I will spend hours teaching people. It's a funny thing because I like teaching to people, but I don't know. I never done tutorials because, let's be honest, I feel like sometimes, okay, helping is one thing, tutorial is one thing, but at the same time, a lot of people then take over your style, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that is something.
There's
it's not
boundary there for sure.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I mean, my style is my style. That's what I will say. So I can teach a lot of things that still wouldn't let you be able to do like me, because I think I draw as a background. So for somebody that doesn't draw, just looking at the tutorial wouldn't do that. But I think a lot of times I've seen a lot of artists that are very talented, that gave a lot of tutorial, then people become that level, and then it almost like you see their work everywhere you go, and it kind of like, wow, man, I know that is your work. How can it be possible that so many people are doing that extra? And it's because they took it from somewhere, and then they just overdo it, and then they overkill something. So I'm not afraid of tutorials, but I think learning from a tutorial is about watching the technique behind it, but then it's up to you how you use that technique to approach it with your touch. That's what I will say, because a lot of people simply let's do exactly the same thing. It happened to me many times. People, oh look, I did this. It is my work recreated. And I'll be like, okay. When it's totally different, it's cool. So it's inspired by me, but it's cool. But when it's very similar, and then you're like, oh man, how can I say this? You don't want to be rude because you understand it's fine, but you don't want people to copy you. That is, I think, some of the.
Totally. And I'm sure
I did experience
that before, and sometimes it's unintentional, but yeah, it's always a weird feeling when things are looking a little bit too close. So, yeah.
Because I did a course for Colosso, it's a Korean company, and I did a class of illustration there, where I go step by step as well. And I can guarantee you, just by looking at those steps, you can actually do something so cool, But then the first thing that I told them, but how deep must I go? Because sorry.
Yeah, how many secrets do you have to reveal? Not all of them.
Yeah, understand what I mean? Because no, the chef never give you the recipe, So it's just some ingredients. But yeah. Just
the ingredients. We got a couple of great questions coming in. I am Fahil was asking, what's more important, being creative or getting the job done on time?
Can I be honest with you? I would say being creative. It's a very interesting. It's important to get the job on time, just to show that you're a professional. Okay, that's how I see it. But to be more creative, I mean, every client will give you more time if you're gonna let the work look even better. If it makes sense. So, yeah. I mean, they have deadlines to respect, but I think for me, it's definitely important that the craft is the best. you know, because at the end of the day, you know, in the future, somebody else can come and give you even a better project because your craft is so good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I will choose creativity.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the authenticity and having enough time to make the work as good as you can is that we always for. By Vowek.cool wants to know, where do you get your clients from? How has that process been for you? Do you find that they come from a certain place, or it's kind of just a mix of everything?
It's weird because, as I said before, it's like people just write me. I would say for that I'm very lucky because I don't really chase work, and I feel blessed. And a lot of people will say like, "You crazy," but as I said, work more on your craft, and when your craft comes to a certain level, then people will notice you. And there are always certain people that will go for you just because you have a specific style. And in terms of where they come from, I've worked for anyone, like Europe, China, Africa. Like it really, I don't know. It became international so quickly, and I don't know. It's literally everywhere. I don't have any issue working with nobody because I'm not a politic guy, so I don't have a lot of issue with people. I'm just like, we do something great, let's do it together. You know, I believe in people rather than politics and too many rules. You know, people are, I don't know.
I think the client question is literally just that. It's like, you know, has to do with networking, getting your work out there, continuing to produce work. You know, there's not really any magical place or space to just have clients come. But, you know, if you're investing and you've been doing it and you're, you know, talking to people and sharing your work. I mean, personally, promoting your work is huge, you know, like getting it out there. I think that that's...
I used to post a lot as well, you know, like I'm one of those guys that used to post every day, you know, like for many, many years. And that is something that a lot of people are like, whoa, how do you do that? But I made it, you know, so
it's important.
It's a sacrifice as well, you know.
Another question from Mr. T611 Design wants to talk about software. What program are you using to create your animations? For example, your 36 Days of Type. There's so much movement in the work. I love those pieces also, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I mean, for me, it's like, I don't know, 36 Days of Type. I'm doing it for years, and literally it's the program Adobe Illustrator, After Effects, and sometimes... Say it again?
Sorry, are you animating in Illustrator also?
No, After Effects. So what I would do is normally I will draw straight into Illustrator, separate everything on layers, export it, save it as AI file, then bring it into After Effects, and then I work my magic on layer by layer.
Cool.
So it's, but the way I
mean, you're obviously a master at it at this point. There's a lot going on.
Because I think about the movement while I do the drawing, if that makes sense. Because for a lot of people, it looks complicated, but if you visualize the animation before you draw, then it makes it easier. That's what I would say.
Totally. We have another question from I Am Fahil. Where did you find your first client? I think that's what the question. How do you find your first client when coming up with a new design agency or firm? Let's just say, do you remember your first client? Do you remember where your first kind of commercial job came from, or what that was?
I mean, my first job that I took myself is the flyer thing for the clubs.
For sure.
And I was like, listen, I'm very good in design. Let me just, you know, can I do a flyer? Let me see what you think. And I don't know, I did a lot of word of mouth. So I was like, hey, let me try this. You will trust me when you see what I do for you. And when they see the work, I don't know, sometimes I feel like when people see the work, they believe in your talent. Because sometimes I've walked into studios, they didn't offer me a job just based on how I look like. And then when I show them the work, they're like, wow, man. Yeah, you know, like I speak to a lot of people, but I also show a lot my work. Look, I could do this, I could do this. I let people think, imagine if you can do this, you know? And that's how they feel intrigued. And sometimes they're like, you know what, let's give it a go. Sometimes clients like this, at the best one. I had one, it's called, I would call my biggest client ever that actually changed my routine was with fitness. They're kind of like they do like CrossFit, it's a gym, but they also do limited edition collabs. And one time a guy came in from the shop and he was like, "Oh man, I love this drawing. Who did this?" And my colleagues in the retail shop, there was, "Oh, it's David. He's our colleague, man. He's a monster." And he said, like, "Really, man, you do this kind of stuff? I work for them. Just pop in, let's see." And I worked collaboration with the Nike chalk board, Metcon. I did customization. I did the walls. They brought me for an event in the whole day. Like, I did so much work through them, even on the Armor, the new shoe launch campaign. So I talked with them. They saw my work. They got intrigued. Let me go for it. You know, I've worked for everyone. I've literally been in very bad areas, good areas, luxury places. So it's all about thinking 360. You know, a lot of people think like, okay, I need to approach somebody. Let's hope he reply. But sometimes you can even go to a pub and say, you know what? Have you ever think about drawing the wall? I can do something amazing. It's, get out of your comfort zone. And I think there are a lot of things that still intimidate me, but the way I do it is always, I do everything that makes me feel uncomfort. I do a lot. And it's weird, even if I feel so awkward till I make it, and then when I'm there, I have to do it. So that's how I came out of this mindset, I would say.
You're good at getting yourself out there, and you're good at putting yourself out there, and I think that that's totally important. You know, just like offering it, getting out of your comfort zone, networking. You know, you got to let people know that you're an artist. You got to let people know that you're open to doing projects. We have a question from, sorry, I'm going to butcher this because I'm dyslexic. Isinho. What are your plans for the future? Any specific thing you want to do in short or long term? Do you have any creative goals? Do you have any things that you really want to get into doing more?
I mean, I don't know. Doing more things, I don't know, because I'm also doing 3D on the side, but I don't share stuff.
Yeah, maybe 3D. Get that a little bit.
I don't share stuff, but because I don't still feel confident enough. But I did some cool stuff, just I don't share it. I think my dream has always been that thing of bringing a collective together, like a big movement. That would be one of my big things, you know, like. Have always been a dream of mine, but you know, the older I get, you know, I don't know. I still believe in it. It's a dream in my drawer. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it's something that takes time because you need to find the right people to make the move. You know.
I mean, that was always totally a dream of mine too. Was to like build this community, build this collective, build this powerhouse of artists, and I think you figured one way or another. You know, for you that could just be a network of artists and friends, and for me that became H+. So yeah, you know, finding that community and finding people that you love working with and respect working with. I'm gonna start wrapping this up here. It's been almost an hour and it's been amazing.
Okay.
And before we close this out, is there anything that you want to plug, any place that you want to tell people to look at? Obviously, go ahead and follow David's work if you don't already at d.oku art. David Oku, again, is an amazing illustrator and animator based in London. Anything you want to share or add? Last comments, inspirations, kind of advice?
Advice. I'm not great with this, but what I will say is trust yourself and don't believe in people that try to take you away from what you are destined to do.
Totally.
Did I say it right? Don't believe in yourself. That's what I would say. Because you know, a lot of people have told me I couldn't make it, but I did. So it's fine.
I mean, yeah, it's that hustle and that, you know, that drive to keep doing it, even if other people tell you that you can't. Keep that positivity. David is, again, really amazing at spreading the positivity in his work and the vibrancy and that message. And I really think that resonates. I love that. I'm going to end with one. It's not quite a question, but it's a comment from JPG art worker that says, David, you are a god of all time.
I appreciate you.
Or
I
well,
appreciate
there.
you.
David, thank you so much for giving
Thank
an
you.
hour, and thank you everyone that joined in today. We're going to keep this conversation up in our reels, and we'll put it on the Vimeo too, so you can share it, go back to it, reference it anytime you want some extra positivity or inspo in your life. It'll be there for you. So thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, everyone. And I will speak to you all very soon.
Bye. See you guys.
Thank you.
Ciao.